Welcome. My name is Mary Shuttler, and I am the current Senate Chair. And it's my second year as Senate Chair, and I have the opportunity once again to introduce the President at the State of the University Address. And last year I focused on her accomplishments from the last 10 years. And after that day, I found a UNC Mirror article that had interviewed her about what her plans were and her accomplishments and what she planned to do past that. So I read thoroughly through this article to see if I did my research correctly. So I'm going to tell you a couple things that how she responded. So to date, they asked her, what do you think some of the biggest accomplishments are at UNC that you have made? And she said, beyond surviving, after laughing, probably developing this wisdom and patience to identify and develop leadership beyond what happens in my office. I very much believe in the idea of having a leadership team, and building a true team approach to moving an enterprise forward is much harder than it sounds. You don't just pick people and give them a uniform with a number on it and expect them to know how to perform the task. At this point, I'm very proud of the leadership we have throughout the university and the progress we've made toward really being innovative and focused on what's great about UNC. The interviewer followed with, that being said, how have you seen the university evolve since you started? The president replied, we really have evolved from the idea that the state told us when to get up in the morning and when to brush our teeth. The whole state organization used to be a very structured, bureaucratic thing, which is really hard to work in. We had to wait for direction from authority instead of concentrating on what to do best because we know best. I think we've really made a lot of strides in that regard, and I think we've built some mutual understanding and trust over time. And after rereading both of these responses before I wrote this introduction, I decided that this was my introduction. Kay Norton is a president of her word. She has restructured UNC's leadership team who assist her in moving forward in innovative ways and has embraced the reality that UNC needs to take control of what is in the administration, staff, faculty, and students' best interest. I'm now anxious to hear what she proposes for the next phase of her leadership, knowing that we can be assured she will follow through on her commitment to UNC's future. Please help me welcome President Norton.
Thank you, Mary, and good afternoon, friends and neighbors. I genuinely look forward to coming together every fall with 400 or so of my closest friends, and that is an absolutely true statement, to talk about the state of our university. I value this time not only as an opportunity to look back and to celebrate the things we've accomplished, and it certainly is an opportunity to do that, but also as an opportunity to think about the way forward. When I postponed this talk last week, there was no doubt we had far more urgent matters to attend to as we began reaching out to community members who've been affected by the widespread flooding around us. Since then, it has been inspiring to see how people have pulled together. I think most of us have had a hard time grasping the extent of the destruction at this point, yet all around us, the cleaning and repairing and rebuilding have already begun. This is a new reality, at least for the coming months, and people are already beginning to weave the work of recovery into their daily lives. We are resilient human beings, and responding as a community makes us even stronger. The change in the higher education landscape requires a similar resilience of us. We're fortunate that the challenges we face have unfolded more slowly than the flooding, but they are longer lasting. We can no more stop the changing higher education landscape than we could have stopped the water coursing over the riverbanks 10 days ago. The questioning about the value of higher education in the public discourse has intensified in the past year. In the past, there were certain shared assumptions about the value of a college degree. And as more people went to college, more people assumed it was a good thing. And it was. It still is. So why are people questioning the value of an investment that a generation ago might have been made without hesitation? They are reacting to the unhappy reality that our economy has changed, that states are unable to invest in higher education the way they used to, that the federal government has limits on its ability to support financial aid and research. They are reacting to the stories about unemployed graduates and to the fact that so many students go by the wayside when we need more of them to be successful at a higher level than ever before. They are frustrated that the price of education has increased while their ability to pay for it has not. And ultimately, they are questioning whether they should sacrifice to make this investment, especially since the vast majority of their investment has to be made with borrowed money. The fundamental foundation on which public higher education has been based for decades, the investment of public funds to increase access, has completely disintegrated since the economy bottomed out. Simply put, public funding is committed to other things. At the same time, the people in the middle class who have benefited the most from the public subsidization of higher education can't afford the full price of a college degree. To make matters worse, spending by colleges and universities has been growing faster than the rate of inflation for decades. These three trends, the shrinking public subsidy, the faltering middle class, and the escalating costs of higher education, are simply irreconcilable. And that means the financing for public higher education literally doesn't add up. Further complicating matters, our changed economy requires more people than ever to be highly educated. A high school diploma is no longer the ticket to a solid middle-class income. The Center on Education and Workforce at Georgetown University projects that 67% of jobs in Colorado will require post-secondary education by 2018. Many of them will require at least a master's degree. And the evidence is clear that universities are not graduating enough students to fill those jobs. The work to be done by these graduates is evolving so rapidly that it is no longer sufficient to study and prepare to do a particular job. We have to prepare graduates to adjust and adapt at least as quickly as the world around them does. They must be able to think about the future, understand how things are changing, and identify new opportunities. So, at a time when higher education is more important than ever, we are presented with twin, apparently contradictory challenges. Higher education has become less affordable than ever, and we must reach even more students. These two challenges cannot be separated. There are other complicating factors, but this is fundamentally why people are questioning the value of higher education. They want us, they need us to address these challenges, and they don't think we are doing it as quickly or as comprehensively as we should. The good news is that we can meet these challenges. Who better to think about these things than we? UNC is filled with people whose life's work is figuring things out and then sharing them with other people. And when we talk about preparing graduates to adjust and adapt at least as quickly as the world around them changes, we are describing the very hallmark of a UNC education. Exploring broadly, making connections, thinking critically, and engaging in studies that maximize individuals' creative potential. This is the essence of the liberal arts tradition and what gives UNC education its depth. We launch our undergraduate and graduate students on a lifelong path of success in every sense of the word. A UNC education is the catalyst for a lifetime of learning. When students leave us, they are not fully formed. They are just beginning to blossom. The whole point is that they are open to possibility. They are prepared not only with the baseline of knowledge in their chosen fields, but also with the ability to discover, create, and incorporate new ideas into their thinking as they set out into the world. We prepare students to respond to the unknown future, to welcome it, to face it courageously. Our graduates exhibit creativity, flexibility, resilience, discretion, judgment, commitment, intellectual curiosity, entrepreneurial spirit, the ability to prioritize what matters most at a given moment. What they have learned at UNC leads to their becoming effective citizens, leaders, and lifelong scholars, whatever path they choose. I witnessed resounding confirmation of this at the annual retreat of our Student Senate this fall. I thought it would be interesting if I wasn't the only one doing the talking, so I asked them what they hoped to get out of their time at UNC. Their answers affirmed that the work we do here pays off in ways that will never show up solely on a W-2. The students testified to the fact that achieving a UNC degree is about far more than just getting a credential. Each and every one of them, in his or her own way, talked about their growth beyond the classroom. One student said she came to UNC because she wants to put herself in situations where she can really grow. And to use her words, not just mentally, but emotionally and spiritually. Another student explained that he is here to, and I quote, transform myself to be a better leader, a better man, a better person, a better friend, a better accountant. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of accountant I want. The students recognize that what matters about their experience at UNC is grounded in their relationships with other people. When I asked about online classes, they talked about technology as a tool and an option, but not the point. Their connection with faculty was the point. They also talked about faculty helping them make connections beyond the classroom. The students were also very much aware of the tangible reality of the investment they are making to both the cost and their debt. As one student put it, there are a lot of intangibles here, probably more than at any other university in Colorado, but I do want to leave this university with a piece of paper that is valuable to an employer. The common denominator among their stories was that the people at UNC are genuinely concerned with and invested in the growth and success of our students. Whether they are taking classes on campus or online, what makes the difference is their interaction with human beings. At UNC, we understand and practice what it means to offer students a genuinely transformative education. This is our fundamental mission. We know that the depth and meaning of transformative education lies in engaging students in the liberal arts tradition, and knowing this positions us well to take on the challenges of the future. Now, with this as our touchstone, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do differently so we reach more students and so more of the students we reach can succeed? First, we need to think about the traditional on-campus programs we offer, both undergraduate and graduate, as well as our existing off-campus, online, and hybrid programs. Are there new certificates, professional development opportunities, workshops, or in-house programs at other organizations we should offer? How little can we charge? What are the essential elements of transformative educational experiences? How much can we make optional? How can we use technology to facilitate human interactions? Second, we need to think about the students we don't reach whom we should be serving. Who are they? And how do we connect with them? In what areas do they and society need educational programs? In what form and at what price do the programs need to be offered to enable students to make an investment that will change their lives forever? And third, we need to think about the role of research in this work, both to engage our students and to be the education thought leader UNC was created to be. For example, we should be experimenting with innovative pedagogy and delivery techniques for higher education and assessing their effectiveness, leading the way for other institutions. How do we leverage the expertise of our faculty to reinvent the ways in which higher education can be delivered effectively? We can demonstrate that we are addressing our new reality not only by continuing to change the lives of the students we have traditionally served, but also by fulfilling our mission in new areas and by new means. To address the needs of people who are time-pressed, financially pressed, or unable to come to our campus, but deserve the opportunity for transformative education. This requires us to transform ourselves, not in terms of who we are, but in terms of how we operate. This is why we have been engaged for several years now in an ongoing multi-year planning effort. As I've shared with you before, one of the things I've learned as your president is that genuine transformation is a community endeavor that takes time. This idea, along with the idea that we must take control of our own future, has been the foundation for our planning work. But planning is nothing without action. So we have approached this work as a continuous cycle of developing plans, implementing action steps, assessing how well they're working, and adjusting as necessary. In 2007, we completed an academic plan that set forth our desire to be an exemplary teaching and learning community. Building on that work, in 2009, we articulated our vision to provide students with opportunities for transformative education by focusing on the intersections among academics, research, and community. That is the Venn diagram we call our strategic framework. Then, in 2011, to be clear about what things we would do to fulfill the strategic framework, we created a planning map that shows how all of our planning efforts are connected. There's a copy of this map on your tables. There are 9 interconnected core plans on the map, which articulate aspirations and action steps for 9 areas comprising the core mission and function of UNC. And there are 5 support plans, which address the major university-wide support functions necessary to implement the 9 core plans. These multi-year plans get operationalized 1 year at a time through annual budgets and action steps. Over the past year, we've taken significant steps not only in actual planning, but also in implementing and assessing. In this past year, our research, scholarship, and creative works plan was in its 2nd year of implementation. We made over 150 awards to support faculty scholarship by funding things like summer stipends, reassigned courses, and research expenses. We supported a patent application for chemical compounds to inhibit infectious West Nile and yellow fevers, and the development of a mobile iPad device to be used by students doing counseling internships and their site supervisors to track and assess students' progress. As an indication of our productivity in research, we submitted 82 proposals for external funding last year and received over $6.4 million. With the assistance of a firm in Washington, D.C., we began identifying additional UNC research areas with high potential to interest federal funders and policymakers. The first 4 areas we're concentrating on are special education, STEM education through the Mathematics and Science Teaching Institute, applied multidisciplinary research through the Rocky Mountain Cancer Rehabilitation Institute, and nursing education. In the spring, the faculty and staff team charged with developing our community and civic engagement plan completed its work. We then searched for and hired a director of community and civic engagement who will shepherd the plan's implementation and help us connect the many engagement efforts across campus. The university district that UNC helped launch in 2010 will also be linked to this work. A number of improvements are underway in the district, most recently at the campus entryway on 22nd Street and on Highway 34 at 11th Avenue. As you may recall, we are beginning the implementation of our international plan in a targeted geographical area, East Asia. Building on our long-term relationship with educators in Thailand, we launched a teacher preparation program with the University of Burapha, which has now successfully completed its first year. After 2 years of study in Thailand, students come to UNC for 2 years of education courses here and then return to Thailand to do their student teaching in their native land. We also added 2 new degrees to our academic portfolio, a Master's of Business Administration and a Master's in Dance Education. We have done significant work to develop our capacity for enrollment planning over the past several years. The changes in our state's funding for higher education have eliminated the direct relationship between head count and state funding, which means enrollment cannot be all about volume. We have to be realistic about how much financial and academic support we can provide students with our current funding. So we are thinking more systemically about the new students we enroll and what it takes to support them to graduation. This is about finding the balance between mission and money. We're fulfilling our mission by educating students who are typically underserved by universities, while at the same time being fiscally sustainable. Our enrollment plan for 2013-14 and our fall enrollment numbers reflect this direction. We have fewer incoming freshmen, but we believe they are more likely to succeed. This will be the new definition of enrollment growth. We didn't change our admission standards, and we have no intention of changing them. However, we've started asking window applicants to complete an additional assessment that measures non-cognitive characteristics such as motivation and leadership. When students are unlikely to succeed here, we redirect them to community colleges and will stay in touch to encourage them to reapply to UNC in the future. Also in line with our focus on success, we have targeted institutional aid to provide better financial support for continuing students. The shift from thinking about enrollment primarily in terms of initial access to thinking about access and success means our enrollment planning and student support planning areas are more connected than ever. We are beginning to work on our integrated student support plan by focusing on ways to improve our students' retention, persistence, and graduation rates. For example, UNC is participating with 15 other universities in an effort called the Student Success Collaborative to develop and pilot an online tool to provide better data for advisors. Faculty in biological sciences, nursing, and targeted areas in the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences, along with our staff in academic support and advising, are participating in the pilot. Their work will include identifying courses that are critical indicators of success for majors in their areas which will allow us to reach out to students with very targeted support services. The focus of our equity and diversity plan implementation efforts over the past year was on recruitment and retention of diverse students, faculty, and staff. For example, our Human Resources Office facilitated training on inherent bias, and in the FY14 budget, we centralized the funding of employee searches to ensure that payment for travel expenses isn't an unintended obstacle to considering issues such as diversity. Similarly, we shifted the funding for our cultural centers to protect them from the uncertainty of the student fee funding process. I have been talking with the Equity and Diversity Council about its ongoing role in advancing the goals of our plan, and you'll be hearing more about that this semester. We are now in our second year of implementing the compensation identity we developed in 2012. The compensation identity is about three things: making UNC competitive for the talent necessary to fulfill our promise of transformative education, being upfront with employees about where we fit in the market, and thinking about compensation as a central element of our budget rather than an afterthought. We're working to move UNC's average salaries over 5 years to 90% of the average salaries at our peer institutions, and to support this, we budgeted a salary pool of 5% for fiscal year 2013 and for our current fiscal year 2014. Our 9 core plans also include a sustainability plan, which remains quite deliberately a work in progress. The plan will address sustainability at UNC in the very broadest sense, not simply how we can be good stewards of the environment, but how we can be a truly sustainable community. This means we will need to think about sustainability in the context of all the things we're doing through the other core plans. And because of this, I encourage the Sustainability Council to hold back on developing a specific action plan during the past year. Instead, the Council put its energy into identifying the many sustainability-related efforts already underway at UNC and developed a website to communicate about them. The Council itself is a reflection of what I mean by sustainability in the broadest sense. Its creation, development, and ongoing work have been literally organic. By that I mean they are not the result of some administrative mandate. They emerged because individual university citizens organized themselves into a collaborative effort that works across organizational lines. When we talk about being a member of the university community, there is an implied commitment to do the things we value, and this group exemplifies that principle. The 5 support plans on that busy planning map you have in front of you are also in various stages of development because they depend, at least to some degree, on the direction set by the 9 core plans. As part of developing our integrated marketing and communication plan, we engaged in an extensive review of UNC's logos over the past year, and we will be having discussions across the university this semester about how to strengthen our visual identity. We are also developing an academic program marketing strategy to support our enrollment planning and academic portfolio work. Our fundraising planning focused on developing the essential talent and infrastructure to identify and cultivate donors, and we are beginning to see the results of those efforts. We raised more than $5.5 million last year, the most since 2005, and our total of new pledges has grown in each of the past 3 years. Our university staffing plan is intended to help us think about staffing from a university-wide perspective and in the context of our 9 core plans. It allows us to look ahead about staffing and consider possibilities for combining, eliminating, or rethinking the functions of vacant positions. As a result of this work, we've invested in a number of new or reinvented positions in our most recent budget. And finally, in our planning for facilities infrastructure and information management, we have developed annual processes for identifying and prioritizing projects from a university-wide perspective. All of these plans are also the basis for our preparation for the Higher Learning Commission's reaccreditation visit in March 2015. And you have on the little stand in the middle of your tables a card that notes our work. As most of you know, I convened a self-study steering committee in February 2012 to coordinate our comprehensive self-study, and several writing teams are already hard at work. In addition to the obvious goal of securing continued accreditation, the purpose of the self-study is to support our planning and ultimately to help us make fundamental and enduring improvements in how we provide students opportunities for transformative education. The process will give us further insight into how we cultivate and advance UNC's distinctive role among Colorado's public research universities. And by that I mean our unique position to promote transformative education through the intersection of our academic programs, research and creative works, and community relationships. Now, I've just shared with you quite a laundry list of things we've accomplished in the past year, but I want to be clear that this list of seemingly disparate items is part of a continuous, connected process. There is nothing random about it. When we set out in 2009 to build on the academic plan we'd finished 2 years earlier, I committed to having a planning process that was tailor-made for UNC. I believed it needed to be inclusive and transparent, to encourage collaboration, to identify and connect work that was already underway, and by all means to avoid unnecessary committees and duplication of efforts. We deliberately departed from the language and processes traditionally associated with strategic planning. And I know this made some people think we had no strategic plan. But given the rapid and radical change in the world around us, I was concerned that a usual planning process wouldn't get us where we needed to go. So, we committed to 3 planning concepts: respectful shared governance, creativity and innovation, and university perspective decision-making. Then we went about this planning thing in a completely unconventional, organic, messy, sometimes even maddening way. And our work resulted in the planning map you have before you, which reflects genuinely strategic thinking. The planning we're doing is a continuous process of listening, thinking, taking measure, adjusting, and moving forward. That's why our plan looks more like a flowchart than a list. What we are doing simply cannot be reduced to a static list of bullet points. I understand there's no small amount of irony in the fact that if you take the plans that emerge from our process and take them together, they are eerily like a strategic plan. The difference, I believe, lies in the process itself. In doing this work together, we have not only woven the 9 core plans into the consciousness of the university, but also made significant progress in starting to implement them. I believe one of the reasons we've succeeded in developing a strategic plan is that we've taken the time to think these things through as a community. Just as we've been identifying annual action steps for implementing the plans, we've also been targeted about which planning work we're going to do each year. As many of you who are involved in this work know, our main planning focus this academic year will be on the academic portfolio and integrated student support plan. Through this work, we will answer the pressing questions about the value of higher education with innovative ways of offering more students truly transformative education and helping more students succeed. To make this happen, we will launch an RFP process, a request for proposals, in which we will invest $1 million in innovative projects over the next 2 years. Provost Robin Wacker will be issuing a call for innovation proposals from faculty and staff in 3 areas. The first area is innovative academic programs. This includes programs that respond to changing demographics, create new pipelines, or reach new audiences through things such as degree completion and accelerated degree programs, online and hybrid degrees, certificates and endorsements for undergraduate and graduate students, workshops and professional development opportunities for UNC graduates, programs with unique delivery modes or schedules, and international programs. The second area for RFP proposals is innovative program delivery methods. This is about potentially big ticket changes in how we deliver programs, innovative use of technology to facilitate teaching and learning, things like flipped classrooms and virtual simulations, and collaborative ventures with other institutions. And the third area is innovations in student success, initiatives that support degree completion, including new ways of thinking about orientation, advising, tutoring, and career development, and ways to offer students multiple pathways to success. The RFP will be a campus-wide call for collaborative submissions of brief concept papers. This will be nothing like a complicated federal grant process. We want you to spend your time thinking, not filling out forms. Robin will be communicating all the details, but proposals will be due at the beginning of the spring semester, and we'll announce the funded projects sometime around spring break. There are many talented and thoughtful people in our university community. I see you out there. And this process is about providing a pathway for bringing your ideas to fruition. No one can command innovation, but we can pave the way for it. Our goal in the RFP is to catalyze big thinking about innovative pedagogy, delivery methods, and student support. It is both about doing things we do now in new ways and about doing entirely new things. We want to question everything but our core commitment to students' learning. The transformative education that is the hallmark of our students' experience will remain as our touchstone, but the alchemy of that experience is not bound by place, structure, or administrative process. The vast majority of our students are here because they are committed to an outcome greater than getting a diploma, and we must continue to provide that opportunity to undergraduates, to graduate students, to professionals seeking further development. If we are to do that under the financial constraints that we and they face, we have to think outside the gravitational pull of the ordinary. We have to think about what we do, what programs we offer, how we offer them, to whom and by what means, all the while balancing mission and money. The RFP is about actualizing the notion that we are indeed a marketplace of ideas. The root of innovation, the root of the word innovation, implies you find it within yourself. It's not somebody else's idea. Genuine transformation of higher education in the way the times demand has not really yet been done. Not that we can't learn from studying others, but if we stay in the safe territory of what's already been done, we default on our obligation to tackle the twin challenges before us. This is also about responsible risk-taking. We do it all the time, getting in a car, walking down the stairs, at least for some of us, earning a PhD. As a university community, we must take the intellectual, academic, and financial risks to leave the space where we know what's going to happen, so we can discover the things that will take us forward. The world around us is forever changed, and we have to get out there and explore. We have to untether ourselves from the traditional boundaries of what we do and how we do it, so we can explore more innovative ways to educate students. Not every initiative we launch may end up being a game-changing innovation, but we're going to send up enough rockets that some of them are bound to break free. And even from the ones that fail, we're going to learn something. And you know what? I like our chances. At this point, the biggest risk by far would be doing nothing. Our historic mission and essential nature is to be a thought leader in what education should be. We have made our own way amid unprecedented and continuing change. We have been and will be a thought leader. The state of the University of Northern Colorado is full of promise. Thank you.